try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring. They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. In all the wounds, undo the harm.
stand by for just a second. Just a small tech issue. Just wanted to make sure. Welcome, everyone. Not sure if that was coming through.
I heard you.
Okay, good. Sometimes on my end, I'll get like a message that there might be a tech issue. So I wasn't sure if I had you on the stage or not.
My life is tech issues, so I feel you.
Well, I just noticed I wasn't added to the stage. So I wanted to make sure everyone heard what I just read. And that was statistics from Florida. If anybody's out there and you wouldn't mind typing in the chat box, if you heard me read the stats from Florida, that would be great. Because sometimes I get these error messages from StreamYard and I'm not totally sure if the live is actually working. Sometimes we get glitches. And Hannah, you look beautiful tonight, everyone. Hannah is with us. And welcome everyone to
Look, I have eyes and lips now.
You have eyes and you have lips.
When I don't have makeup on, I only have on like just foundation, mascara, and lipstick. And I'm telling you, I have no face. I have no identity without them. I'm so pale.
Well, I'm a natural redhead and have been since birth, so I am absolutely pale, even with my freckles. But I have cried off mascara twice today, and we'll share that.
I'm with you. I'm sitting here with my powder because I keep crying, and like in the corners of my eyes, my mascara is just gone. Because at this point, I don't even call it crying. At 44 years of age, me and my best friend decided at about 30 that we just leaked. Like we just call it leaking because we can't control it. It just falls.
Yeah.
And then, it shows up as anger.
Right. Well, yeah, there's angry tears, there's sad tears, there's happy tears. I am not a happy, teary person. So when I'm happy, I just can't cry. I don't know what that is about me, but I have never happy cried. And I know a lot of people who are happy criers, right? I am not a happy cry, but I'm okay with that. I don't think it means anything. I just, when I'm happy, I'm happy. And crying, unfortunately for me, is only associated with pain and sadness and anger. So
that does make me sad for you because I have cried happy tears a couple times in my life. And obviously, when my grandson was born, July 31st, I could not stop crying happy tears. And then when I knew I had another grandbaby on the way, I was just so excited. And happy tears don't hit often, but when they do, they're very powerful. So I pray that you do receive happy tears because you deserve it.
Well, thanks. I'll keep that in mind, but I'm not expecting them. I even had a boyfriend of mine say, why don't you cry when you're happy? I'm like, I have no clue. I don't think any of us knows why.
You're depleted. You're depleted from all the bullshit you've been through.
Well, that's possible too. Yes. So, welcome everyone to the live show tonight. Sorry, I thought I was live at the beginning when I read the Florida statistics. I'm not sure if anybody that's out there could let me know in the chat box if Hannah heard me, but that she was in the green room with me. So I don't know if you all heard me. So I'm trying to figure out, it's showing something about let's see, some LinkedIn comments won't show a name or picture. Okay, that's just perfectly fine. Thank you, StreamYard. Let's see here. I'm just going to type in the chat box and see if we've got anybody out there tonight with us live.
I invited Mr. Black. I don't know if he'll come on, but I went ahead and sent him an invite.
Okay.
I know he's a very busy man and he does a lot of great work. So hopefully, he sees us at some point, maybe.
Yeah. Well, just to be safe, I do want to reread the information that I wanted to share with you all, just to be sure that it came across. So let me just reread what I read to you all after we played our intro music tonight. So before I do that, I might as well just, let me add this. Let me just skip over and quickly do my beginning since I didn't get to do that yet. So all of you that are new, tonight we are revisiting, which we've been doing weekly, our missing persons mom here in Marion County, Florida, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours to my west. And where is Sarah Ebersol? And as you all know, most of you know, we are social change warriors. We are a movement. We are an advocacy movement, and we advocate for victims of domestic violence, homicide, other homicides as I have time for, and missing missing mothers, missing women of domestic violence. But we will obviously advocate for you if it's not domestic violence, but it has to be I have to have an advance notice somewhat of when you need me, because we're pretty much, with me being the only one doing this as a volunteer, we have 13 people we're advocating right now, 13 human lives that we're advocating for that are either missing or have already been unalived. So I'm sort of topping out at that for right now, but I'm always willing to listen, and if willing to share a photo and advocate as much as I can for your person until once I get other cases, they get solved, or I'm able to help them solve their cases, or they get solved on their own, and we no longer have to advocate daily, weekly, then we can take you on a more regular basis. So please keep that in mind. Don't let the fact that we have 13 right now sway you from contacting me, because I can always make room for you in some way, shape, or form to advocate for your loved one. So that's what we're doing at Social Change Warriors. We are live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, sometimes all 3 nights, sometimes only 2, some nights only 1. It depends on how much research we're doing. If we have meetings with police departments or with families, we may only live twice a week instead of 3 times, but I always let you know. We always post on all our social medias when we're live streaming, what time, and you can always go to our library on Social Change Warriors on YouTube, and it will show you what live streams are booked and for what date and time. I try to put them up as many days in advance as I possibly can. So our mission is knowledge, power, action, change. At Social Change Warriors, we believe that when we are given knowledge, when we learn about a topic or about a plight of someone, we then gain power, and then we can use that power for action and change. And that really is how it works. If you think about past movements, and in our lifetime, in mine, I'm 62, so I'm old enough to be Hannah's mom. In my lifetime, there have been many amazing movements, and they would not have made the change they made without the knowledge, without the power, and without the action. You can't just skip to change. It doesn't work that way, people. We wish that it did, but it just unfortunately does not. So that's what we're about here. We are not monetized. I have not accepted one dime donations. We were gifted money for our social media, for our song, and we thank that person. We have thanked that person many times, and we continue to thank them. They know who they are. They've requested not to be mentioned anymore because they no longer are part of our show. So, but we are grateful for when they were part of our show, and we thank them for the gift to help us edit and produce our theme song, My Life Mattered, for Social Change Warriors. And we only accept donations that have to do with program costs now. So only to pay for YouTube or StreamYard, or to make flyers for our missing, or to help the families. And we will have spreadsheets available to any of you at any time if you're interested. We have not accepted a donation yet. Kara made a $5 donation on our Cash App so we could make sure it worked. So so far, that's all we've got to account for is $5, which we haven't spent yet. It's still sitting there. So but we do not charge super chats. We do not charge you to come on the platform and speak your speak. We try to put up all your comments when you make them on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I try to keep up as best I can, depending on how many are live. And then if I can't put them all up, I usually, at least I will read them out loud, or I'll get them up on the screen if I can't read them out loud. So one way or another, your chat is coming on the live stream, and your voice matters. So we are back tonight discussing where is Sarah Ebersol, our missing mom. Went missing at the age of 26 out of Marion County, Florida. Now, Hannah, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience. I just introduced myself and who I am, and why I'm doing this, and why I'm doing advocacy. And most of you know I'm retired police officer, social worker, and former journalist back in the day. So these 3 careers of mine really lend well to this type of work, this volunteer advocacy in my retirement age. So I feel very, very fortunate and blessed to be able to help families with all 3 of my skills. And my compassion for people, my empathy for people has always been very huge. And I owe that to my DNA, to my mother, my father, my grandparents. And it takes a lot to stand for victims of murder and homicide and domestic violence. Trust me. And every one of you that has been standing with me, supporting us, subscribing to us, I can't thank you enough. It drains you. It's exhausting. And that's why I came up with the Angry Bitch Club, because I need a night that we're not just focusing on statistics, and we're not just always focusing on who the bad guys are. I'm showing you some bad guys right now, in my opinion, because they're not cooperating with the police. They may be good guys to their family and friends, but right now for Sarah Ebersol, they're the bad guys because they're not cooperating with police. And I'll tell you why in a little while. That's just my to-do list. So Sarah Ebersol matters to so many people, and she doesn't deserve to be missing for 2 years. And one of the ladies that we're standing for that are still missing or that are unalive by the that type of thing. So we are going to have Hannah with us tonight, and she is going to co-host this show with me. This is her first time co-hosting. She had no clue she was co-hosting until I told her about an hour ago. So we're going to give her a big props for that. But I want her to tell you a little bit about her survival of domestic violence and what that journey has been like for her.
Well, thank you, my little rocket girl. You know I've renamed you that.
I love it. I love that.
It came out in a text when I was talking. I meant to say you got it, and it went Rocket Girl, and then it had like a redheaded rocket girl, and I was like, okay, that's you. Thank you so much for giving all of us a louder voice and for dedicating your life to basically everyone. I'm just going to put the umbrella of just the grievance, the grief that people go through, that no family should have to endure, whether they have a missing family member or a murdered family member. It's just not okay. It's not okay in the day and the time that we live in, 2025. There's cameras everywhere. Like it's just unbelievable, the lack of justice that we see. So my name is Hannah Kendrick, and I am a survivor of domestic violence as well as a very traumatic upbringing. My ex-husband, in 2007, on October 13th, he poured gas on me while I was asleep and set me on fire. I was burned 67%. And one of my favorite things to say is my face was the first thing to catch fire, and my hands are what I put myself out with. I have no scars on them. That's a miracle. That's footprints in the sand.
Yeah.
And, you know, it took me a while to even realize that because I was extremely angry. And I think anger has been a major driving force in advocating for myself and also being able to advocate for others, because at this point in my life, I'm here for a reason. And it is only to share what God has brought me through and the power that he has, and the fact that he's very much capable of making any miracle happen. And the devil is a lie. And, you know, it's a huge problem because the devil will actually come in your face daily, hourly.
Yes.
But God kind of sits there and he's like, you know, have faith in me. And it took me a long time to get over my anger. You know, I published my book, Heroes and Monsters, and I named it Heroes and Monsters because I myself could relate to being both at times because of my anger. I know I've been a monster, but my empathy, I feel people's pain that it's unreal. Like I have so many best friends on TikTok that they don't even know they're my best friend. Shout out to Mama Tot. Shout out to Bunny XO. Those, they don't even know they're my best friends. It's crazy. But, you know, and it's people like that that have paved the way for someone like me and people like you who've paved the way. And I hope that I can give others, you know, hope, strength, faith. Like right now, it's a shit show in my life. Like it really is. I was declared permanently disabled by a doctor in 2007.
Right.
And I was permanently declared disabled by a judge in 2012. And they've cut my disability check off last January. And we're really not doing okay. But God is taking care of us. We have dinner tonight. Obviously, the power's on. You know, I have a voice and I'm going to use it. I've decided that that's my whole purpose.
You are an excellent speaker. You are amazing. And for the trauma that you suffered and that you have been through, because remind the audience, it wasn't just that night, the trauma night of the gasoline being poured on you. You had already been suffering beatings and had left him and had come back.
I left him for a whole year. I left him for a whole year after what happened on my 21st birthday. And that was due to him being on hard drugs. I always attributed his violence to drugs and substances. But I'll tell you what I've learned over the last 18 years that he's been in prison. Those drugs and those substances, the alcohol and everything, actually isn't the problem. I always thought that it was, and I always thought, okay, as long as he's clean and sober, you know, he's like the greatest guy on earth. My ex-husband is the type of person, he's an honored inmate in prison. He's always the nicest, funniest guy in the room, very hard worker, you know, to society in all respects. Like, I mean, he's kind of like you know, he's an evil hero monster in disguise, because people don't even realize what he's capable of, because they have not laid on the concrete and had him stomp on their face and on their chest. And he's about to get out of prison. He gets out October 13th, 2026, 19 years from the day that it happened. And he had me completely, you know, Mr. Black said it the best way, that I had said that I felt stupid for believing that my ex-husband wanted to, I don't know, help other families the way I do. Mm-hmm. And he made it very clear that he didn't. And I've cut complete contact with him. I have no contact with him at all. And I'm so grateful that the parole board was like seeing him for what he really was. Because when he went into the parole board, all he wanted to do was talk about everything he's accomplished in prison. Well, guess what? On October 12th, you were a productive member of society in 2007. You went to work, you took care of your kids, you went home, you did everything okay. Yep. The next day, you went to work, you came home, and at 5:30 the next morning, you poured gas on me while I was asleep. Exactly. Who does that? And then who sits around for 18 years? Like, a lot of the reason I kept contact with him was purely and solely to let him know exactly what a piece of shit he is. I can't tell you how many times in our conversations I was like, you need to get off this phone and go look in that bubble mirror and tell yourself what a worthless piece of shit you are, because I'm out here struggling right. on disability, right. trying to raise 3 kids.
And that's what hurts me when I hear these stories of women like yourself who, and Julie's with us tonight. Thank you, Julie. We have several with us live, but thanks, Julie. I appreciate that. I wasn't sure if I was having a tech issue or not, so I'm glad to know we're not. What really hurts my soul when I hear these stories of true life stories, these aren't fairy tale stories, these aren't happy stories, these are true life horrific stories of survivors of domestic violence, that when and if their husband, boyfriend, fiance, ex-husband, ex-boyfriend finally does go to jail, then in jail, a lot of them are role model prisoners, because their form of abuse, which is beating up their girlfriends and their wives, isn't there.
Yeah, I've never seen, I met my ex-husband when we were 13. We didn't get together till we were 19. I've never known him to put his hands on any kind of man, ever.
Right.
Ever. He's considered, like I said, he's an honored inmate where he is. And there was a TikTok creator did a video for me and researched it. And he actually found someone under the name of Anthony Draper that's in prison in Missouri for a similar crime, which is crazy because my ex-husband is Antonio Draper. Wow. And so he had actually given me some information that Antonio was granted clemency. And I completely lost my shit and called the warden of the prison. And I was like, hey, y'all didn't contact me when he went to the parole board. I'm his victim survivor. He set me on fire. And so it was the warden's secretary. She was really nice. She was like, hang on just a second. And she looked him up. She looked up his name. And then she's like, I said, you probably know him. He's been in there for a long time. I said, and he's very likable. You wouldn't even know what he's capable of. Right. And so she took a second or whatever to look at his picture. And she replied, and I quote, oh yeah, I know exactly who he is. Because he puts on such a great, he's just the greatest guy ever, always.
It's the mask, Hannah. He probably has narcissistic tendencies. Unfortunately, for victims of domestic violence, those go hand in hand with someone who can potentially become an abuser to the level that your husband did, which is the unaliving component, where the majority of domestic violence cases are all injuries that do not lead to death, but they go on for years and years because the woman is afraid to leave. She doesn't have money to leave. She's worried about the kids. Am I going to get custody of my kids? The husband threatens that I'll take custody of the kids if you kick me out or if you divorce me. So a lot of women live for years and years in terror and fear, and they're beat up. They're never killed, but I have interviewed women who said they wish they were dead because
there are women that tell me
to live like that with a narcissist who gaslights you all the time and accuses you of doing things that you don't do and then beats you for the things you didn't do because he says you did them.
There are women that contact me, and I don't know if I've said this to you before, but I want to make it very clear. Like, there's women that are dealing with emotional and financial abuse for multiple years at a time. And to me, I honestly, and it's going to sound crazy, it's like they're being set on fire slowly throughout the years. Thank God I was only set on fire the one time. I survived. I'm here to speak about it. And, it's crazy because when I have COPD, and I did smoke cigarettes. I am vaping now, and it's a bad habit, I know. But whenever I got set on fire, that really destroyed my respiratory. I was already having issues because, I'm a smoker, so I was going to have issues later on in life probably, but I never would have gotten COPD at the age of 26. And there's certain things that go on in my life that are still from the fact that he set me on fire. Like this burn scar on my arm right here, like my skin just tears, and like I don't know how it even happened, but it did. And like it's scary to think that, I could possibly even have to have, more skin grafting surgeries in the future. There's no 12/12 date for me.
Right.
And I'm a Pisces. I love water. I love it. I love fishing is my very favorite thing to do. And I can only do that at night. And, I don't do it often. I think it's actually been more than 5 or 10 years since I've been fishing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody that Wednesdays, this is the Angry Bitch Club. This is our night that we bitch. We bitch about what happened to us. We bitch about what happened to someone we know. We bitch about we advocate and bitch for the ladies that we're standing for. That on Thursday night, we are calling out the corruption in their cases. We're calling out the shoddy police work in their cases. We're calling out the witnesses and or the perpetrators who are getting away with it. We're sticking more to statistics and police reports and listening to audio. And so we try not to swear on Thursdays, and we try not to bitch too much. We try to just be really, really businesslike on Thursdays. So Wednesdays is our night. This is our night to bitch and swear if we want to swear. So if you don't like swearing, I'm sorry, but Wednesdays we swear. And that is it's a release. It gives you a chance to just blow off some steam, because so much of what we do on Thursdays is aggravating, frustrating, time consuming, maddening, you name it, what we do on Thursdays, and I can give you an adjective for it. So Wednesdays, this is the night we get to just be us, blow off steam, and we swear. So we're sorry if that offends any of you. We apologize.
God already knows what's coming out of my mouth before I even say it.
Exactly.
My mama told me my whole life that I never met a stranger. Like I tell everybody, have always been that way. But I do respect other people as far as like on my Facebook and everything. I try not to curse there. And, it's an issue for me because of anger. And I do have an extensive vocabulary, but sometimes what the fuck is just like the only thing you can say.
Right.
And when we're talking about Sarah Gail Eversole and her daughter, Cora Dahlia.
Yes.
That that makes me so fucking angry. Like I've called the governor twice. I've sent emails twice, contacted DFS
I'm glad
2 or 3
you
times.
I'm glad you brought it up that you've called the governor's office, and I'm going to let you tell everybody a little bit about that in a second. But I want to quickly read to you guys, just for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, I want to read some statistics to you, because even though we're supposed to do stats on Thursdays, this is very important what I found out in my research this week. So I read it at the beginning. I want to read it now for those of you that are just joining us. These are Florida statistics, keep in mind. This is not United States. These are not United States numbers. These are Florida numbers. In 2020, 106,515 crimes of domestic violence were reported to Florida law enforcement agencies, resulting in 63,217 arrests. During fiscal year 2020-2021, which was over COVID, Florida's certified domestic violence centers provided 412,360 nights of emergency shelter to 10,287 survivors of domestic violence and their children. Advocates created 150,799 tailored safety plans, provided a total of 191,451 hours of advocacy and counseling services, and received 72,321 domestic violence hotline calls from individuals seeking emergency services, information, and safety planning assistance. Many more survivors of DV are not reporting their abusers to the police or accessing services at domestic violence services due to reasons such as shame, fear, or being prevented from doing so by their abusers. For this reason, we may never know the true extent of abuse in our country and in our state. So I wanted to reread that to you. Those numbers should scare the crap out of you. They should scare the fuck out of you. Those numbers are horrific. And that we have to find a way to reduce these numbers. We have to find more people that are willing to stand for victims and survivors of domestic violence and to address this problem. This has become a societal epidemic. These are, like I said, I'll share numbers with you on other nights from other states, and then we'll get a totality, which is just, it's frightening. It's beyond even sickening. It's absolutely frightening. So we're talking tonight again a little bit about Sarah Ebersol. We've talked about her weekly since November, when we first met Michelle, her sister, who has been so courageous to literally work on Where is Sarah Ebersol every single day of her life for 2 years and 1 month and almost 20 days.
I think it's 768 days, if I'm correct.
I think that's what she said was that as of yesterday?
I think yesterday was 767. I think today's 768.
Yeah.
And that's too many fucking days.
Too many days. And it's so horrific and sad that this is going on, that this young woman has presumably lost her life. She was missing and then not even upgraded to missing and endangered for a very long period of time, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around and understand. So these are some last photos of Sarah that we have posted before. You can go into our library and you can find all the episodes on Where is Sarah Ebersol. We've done many live shows if you want to get the full picture of the full case. But just to give you a recap, this is Michelle, her sister. Please go to her Facebook page, Michelle Crystal Tullis. That's Tullis, and friend her, follow her. She covers her sister's missing case every day. She makes videos. She does live streams. She does Facebook live streams from her car because she's posting flyers that are constantly being torn down by who we believe is the person of interest. Marion County Sheriff's is indicating that this person is a person of interest because of, and I'll get to that in a minute, of his behavior on the night that Sarah went missing. So March 2nd, 2023, Sarah was going to going to a party. It was a little house party. It was impromptu. We still don't know for sure if it was so impromptu that she actually met up with these casual friends at the gas station, or if that's just where she met them to get a ride because she didn't know where they lived. But either way, she went to a party at approximately 10:30 at night on March the 2nd of 2023. She texted her sister, told her she was going to go to this party. Earlier in that day, she had asked Michelle for a ride home from her job, but Michelle could not help her that that day. So she ended up taking an Uber from her job to her place where she was living. She was had a rental room on a woman's property, and she was renting from this woman who happened to be a really lovely person and is a former war vet. So thank you for your service, my dear. We've chatted, and she's a great person. That's who Sarah was living with at the time she went missing. So she texted her sister that she was getting into a random truck with some cowboys. So that was just her way, I think, Sarah's way of just letting her sister know, I'm going to party with some guys, with some cowboys, supposedly. So there's a lot of Ocala is horse country. In case those of you that aren't from Florida or know anything about Florida, Ocala's in the middle of the state. It's a little south of Gainesville, where the University of Florida is, and it's all horse country. There's just horse ranch after horse ranch after horse ranch. They have shows, a lot of shows over there. So there's a lot of people over there wearing cowboy hats. You wouldn't expect it. You'd think to see that in Texas, Utah, Wyoming, right? Colorado. But there are cowboy wearing hat and cowboys over there in the Ocala area. So Sarah was at this gas station, the Circle K, and that is where she was seen on surveillance video. And these pictures were taken by, I think, if it was either her or Bubba. Bubba was his nickname, this young man that she went to this house party with. So Bubba lived in a duplex style apartment, duplex style housing. He lived on one side, and two other people that were partying with her that night, James Schaller and Tisha McDermott, lived on the other side. Now, originally this truck was a truck of interest, because this was the truck that she was seen getting a ride from the gas station in, but that person was cleared and was a friend of Bubba's and was with Bubba at the gas station, and that's the truck she got into. So that truck was cleared by Michelle. Michelle actually found the truck before the police. The police still had this truck on their missing flyer for way too long, and that's another question that's never been answered for me. Why was this man's truck on a missing flyer for over a year past when it needed to be? That I don't understand, how they can't be that busy that somebody couldn't have updated this missing flyer. So when I started working with Michelle, she had already asked many times for this missing flyer to be updated and for this truck to be taken off and for the new person of interest to be put on the missing flyer. And that wasn't happening. So we started live streaming, and I started making phone calls, and I encouraged other people. Michelle encouraged people to make phone calls and send emails from her Facebook page. And it took a village, but we finally got a new missing flyer put out. And that was just in January of this year. So this is Bubba at I believe it was a dollar store with the person who gave the ride. They were both cleared early on as having anything to do with unaliving or anything to do with Sarah's disappearance. So that is according to the Marion County Sheriff. So this is just a map of the area. Let me try to make this bigger. There we go. So this is just a map of the area. So we're not dealing with much space here. This is a very small town, Reddick. It's to the south of Gainesville, to the north of Ocala. So if you look at the map on the left, you'll see Gainesville up in the left-hand corner where the University of Florida is. You'll see Ocala down below, which is a big city. But then you've got all these tiny little towns in between Ocala and Gainesville. And it's just not much out there. Like I said, it's horse country. It's people living out in the country and in small housing. And Ocala is a big city, but Reddick is teeny tiny. So all of these players that night in this final act of Sarah's life, sorry to sound dramatic, but this is a dramatic case. We have a missing mother. We have custody of her daughter by who we believe probably unalived her based on the domestic violence that she had incurred for many, many, many years. He's got custody of the child. We've got DCF reports coming and going left and right, and nothing's being done. So I can be dramatic because this is a very dramatic, scary, terrible case of this missing mom, Sarah Ebersol. So this is the area that we're talking about, where Sarah lived, where Tyrone Mormon lived, where Tisha lived, where James Schaller lived, and where Bubba lived is a very small area. They lived within like a 2-mile radius of each other. Same with the gas station where she was seen on surveillance at approximately 10:30. So like I said, this truck was located, and Michelle put this out herself April 10th of 2023, people. And this continued. We just got a new missing flyer in January of 2025. Now, someone explain explain to me how that is even acceptable. I don't care how busy you are, Marion County Sheriff. I'm not trying to disrespect you guys. I know you and gals, you work hard. You have a hard job. But how do you not update a missing flyer on a missing mom for that long? That's a total drop the ball. It makes me mad. It's Wednesday, and I'm going to be fucking mad about it because there's no reason why the victim's sister should be locating this truck for you and then you not updating that truck off of the missing flyer. I want someone to apologize to Michelle and her family for that. I want answers, and I haven't got them. So I'm still going to keep asking. So this is, again, the layout of the land that Michelle provided to me of how close everybody lived. You've got Tyrone up here. You've got Sarah down here. You've got Leonard over here. And then over here, let's see, here you've got Tisha and Tisha James and James Schaller and James Robinson. So you've really got them all within a very close proximity. So where in the fuck is Sarah Eversole? Why can't we find her, people? What is going on? It's been 2 years that she has been missing. She can't be very far from this circle of destination of where they last all saw her and where she last was alive. So I'm frustrated. I'm mad. This is the little duplex where she was last partying with this group of folks, where at approximately, we don't know for sure because people were partying, so their witness testimonies to the sheriffs, it's hard to know. I mean, there's a lot of timeline issues in this thing, but one thing we do know is that Sarah was taking photos. James Schaller was taking photos. He provided those to the police. And approximately between 10:30 and 12:30, they were partying and taking photos, and everything at this duplex was all okay. So like I've said many times, in my opinion, these photos were very personal, and I believe that Sarah knew these three people. I think she knew them before that night, whether it be casually or because of where she worked or where they worked, how they lived too close in too tiny of a town to have just accidentally met Sarah that night and partied with her. I don't buy it. So I do believe that they were somewhat of casual friends. So at 11:08, they're playing around outside, posing for photos by a tree. Then there's also video of them doing goofy stuff with this Robinson guy, and they're like waxing his chest like from the movie, right? Wedding, is it Wedding Singers? So they were literally like, it looked like they were pretending to do that. And so that just looked like all funny, goofy, harmless stuff that 24-year-olds, 24 to 26-year-olds might do if they've been drinking and partying. So at 12:08 on March 3rd, now we're on to March 3rd, Sarah's still alive at this point, still okay. There's indoor photos taken in the living room. They're just hanging out, laughing, smiling. Nothing looks scary or like to be worried about. The timestamps are there for the photos. James Schaller was cooperative. He provided all these photos for the Marion County sheriffs. And then this is where it gets confusing. So here they are. This is Tisha on the right. By the way, she's been super cooperative as well. She's even chatted with me, and I appreciate that, Tisha. If you're watching, she's agreed to be on a live show with us. I'm not sure when we're going to get that scheduled. That'll be up to her. So we will, maybe next Wednesday, we'll have Tisha with us, and she will tell us exactly what she saw that night and what was going on. James Schaller is the man in the white t-shirt, and then that's Bubba James Robinson, who's wearing the cowboy hat that Sarah was last seen in wearing. Now, these nothing nefarious looks. I mean, this is nothing scary to me.
This looks like a bunch of friends hanging out having fun.
Yes. Yep. That's all it looks like.
I think it's extremely relatable to anyone their age. That, this doesn't look it. And I agree with your theory that she somehow, probably casually knew them at some point. I don't believe that she just didn't know them just because of the way that they're so comfortable around each other and constantly taking pictures and partying through the night. If you're doing that, you know what I'm saying? I don't think any ill intentions were there, but I mean, I don't know. But what it looks like is a group of friends having fun.
Yeah. And when we talk to Tisha, we'll see if she had ever met Michelle before. But if she had never met Michelle, and if James Schaller had never met Michelle.
You meant Sarah, not Michelle.
I mean, Sarah, I'm sorry. I talk to Michelle so much every day, so I do that all the time. Sorry, Michelle. If Sarah didn't know Tisha and James Schaller, that I could maybe understand, but then she definitely knew Bubba casually. However, she knew him. That's how she got to the party. That's who invited her to the party. So we'll see what Tisha has to say about if she'd ever seen Sarah before or knew her. I honestly don't remember what her statement to the police was, but I think that Sarah definitely knew Bubba, the guy in the cowboy hat, at least casually, in order to get to this party and to be so easygoing and relaxed in this state.
And that's who she took the funny picture with, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Right. So there was a dog on the property that night, and then here they are again, just having fun. They're outside, they're just taking pictures, goofing around.
And the shoes are extremely important.
Yes, and then
on Sarah's feet.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the shoes. So I always like to give credit where credit is due. All of these slides, if it's a slide that I came up with, then I'll tell you. But anything that's from Michelle, I credit Michelle. She gave me so much information to use for this case deck that I built for Sarah. It's like 100 slides long now with things that I've researched, memes that I've made, graphs and things I've made, and then all of the things that Michelle provided to me. Michelle's Facebook is literally a time capsule of everything that's happened from the minute that Sarah went missing until today. So you really need to get on that Facebook page, Michelle Crystal Tellis. So basically, James Robinson stated to authorities in a video interview that Tyrone Mormon was hanging out at the house with him and that he offered to give my sister a ride home. Those are Michelle's words. So Tyrone offered to give Sarah a ride home. That's according to James Robinson. And the timeline, she writes here, the timeline of when my sister left isn't clear. Each individual had the starting time off by approximately 2 hours. But again, they were all partying. They probably weren't really paying attention to time. They say that Tyrone left in his Hyundai blue car, a sedan, was gone for about 10 minutes and came back and left again as if something was forgotten. So what we're surmising is that Sarah probably either forgot her phone or her wallet, or Tyrone forgot his phone. Something important was forgotten, and they were 10 minutes out and probably 5 minutes out and had to come back. That makes sense, right? So that's from James Schaller and from Tisha, that the car returned, that Tyrone was seen going back in the house to retrieve something that Tisha says was small and black. So it could have been a phone or a wallet. We don't know which, but we do know that Sarah had her wallet with her that night, and her phone. That we do know. So it says they said she came back because she forgot her wallet. Now this was from a Facebook post, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Michelle about this yet. We've had so much going on the last couple of weeks, and we forget to tell each other things. So who is they? Who said that they came back for her wallet or her phone? Was it James? Was it Schaller? Was it Tisha? Which one of them witnessed that? I'd like to know that, because according to this Facebook post, that's what they're saying, is that at some point, one of these witnesses said the car returned because they forgot something, and I want to know more about that. So I'm reminding myself to ask her. So then there was something in this Facebook post that alluded to the fact that Sarah was counting her money before she got back in the car. She was probably worried that maybe one of these characters tried to take some of her money, that her hard-earned money. And this is important because Sarah had told her sister and a couple of her coworkers that also gave witness statements that she was planning to give Joe as much money as she could afford the next time she saw him and her daughter, so that she could barter with him to get to see her daughter. This is what it was like for her with this Joe character. He was constantly gaslighting her and forcing her to give him money for things that she really shouldn't be giving him money for. And he actually had a child support order on Sarah. A single woman of 26 is expected to pay child support to this man who was constantly bragging about how he makes thousands and thousands of dollars a month as a car salesman and other jobs that he's had. But yet the court system found it okay to put a child support order on this young woman. It makes literally no sense to me that what went on for Joseph to even get custody of Cora Dahlia. He changed her name prior to getting custody of her, which is utterly insane to me. Why in the world would you change your daughter's name? That you weren't even on the birth certificate. And I think that was the problem for Joseph, is he wanted control. So the
Oh
only
yeah.
way to do that, right, was to badmouth Sarah, make up crap about Sarah, dress up in a suit and tie, get his briefcase, book all that in a bag of chips, and go in and make up a bunch of lies to the system. And that is how he managed to get the name, his name put on the birth certificate, her name changed, and full custody of her with very little visitation rights for Sarah. It was like a shit show waiting to happen. I mean, you could almost see him building up to this, continued harassment, continued stalking. He's a computer guy. He was able to get access to her Facebook and to her phone and to her social media accounts. This was going on and on and on. So let's go backwards for a minute before we get to Mr. Joe Maton. Sarah's shoes became important because she's wearing these black little they don't have nothing at the ankle. They're slip-ons. So she's wearing these black slip-ons the night that she goes missing in all the pictures. But the shoes were found by her roommate, which gave her witness review to the Marion County Sheriff, at the house, as were her cigarettes and her lighter were on the table outside the home. So that became a concern. So how did Sarah get home? Well, we know that Tyrone Norman took her home, right? At least that's what we believe happened, because that's what the witnesses say, that he had volunteered to give her a ride home. He was called over. Text messages prove from Marion County Sheriff that Bubba was texting with Tyrone, that he invited him over. He said, "Hey, Sarah's here," something to that effect. "Do you want to come over and party with us?" Tyrone comes over to party in this blue vehicle, this sedan. They're partying, and then offers to give Sarah a ride home, according to the witnesses. So Michelle says, "My sister's shoes were inside of her own residence, but she was wearing in all the photos. Her cigarettes and lighter were outside of the home. The two large dogs were still inside the residence." So her roommate was gone on a veterans retreat. So when her roommate returned home, she told this to the sheriff, and I was fortunate enough to get to speak with her. She told me that one of her dogs was in a kennel because it was a dog. The other dog was her service animal, and that was in the house, and there were lots of piles of doggy food. So that's how she knew something was very wrong. Sarah would have never let that happen. And she also had someone that watched the home for her when she wasn't home. And according to her, he had given her the property, and that Sarah would have let him know she was going to go somewhere so that he could let the dogs out. And all the time she lived with her roommate, she never was respectful of the roommate, never was respectful of the property and the dogs. So that was her first conclusion, something's not right. And she said that she saw those black slip-on shoes on the shoe thing they had by the door. Now, when I spoke with her, I asked her, I said, "Is there any chance that there was another pair of black shoes that Sarah had that could have possibly been there?" Because in my mind, I don't really think Sarah ever made it back home. I really don't. I think that cigarettes and a lighter, I'm not a smoker, but you can attest to this, Hannah, my sister's a smoker. She's got packs of cigarettes in various persons and lighters all over the place. So I don't really think that one pack of cigarettes and one lighter being on a porch table is going to indicate to me that Sarah was home after the shoes. Yes, if those are definitely the shoes. So I questioned her a little bit and said, "Are you 100% positive those are the shoes?" And she said, "Yes." So after thinking about it and knowing that Sarah had 3 pairs of shoes, she was not able to tell me beyond a shadow of a doubt that those were the shoes. That leads me back to, I don't think that Sarah got driven home that way. I really don't. What do you think, Hannah?
Well, I mean, it depends what kind of a smoker she was.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, when I smoke cigarettes and even my vape, I don't go anywhere without them.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere. When I smoke cigarettes, and it depends on her habit of smoking cigarettes, because I do know there are people who buy random packs of cigarettes and leave them around their house. I'm not that kind of person. I
Yeah.
couldn't afford more than a pack or so at a time anyways.
Well, my sister's the same. She never buys more than 2 bags at a time because she doesn't want to chain smoke. So she ends up going to Walgreens every day. So I see that, but I also know I've known chain smokers before, and I've known smokers who do have more than one pack of cigarettes. You know, one at home and one in their pocket or their purse or whatever, right? So it is possible that
Yeah.
that wasn't her only pack of cigarettes and her only lighter, right?
That's absolutely true. I mean, I've talked to people who are cigarette smokers but smoke a pack in like 3 or 4 days. So I mean, everybody's different when it comes to that. So you really can't go by that as far as, you know, did she not smoke in her house? Was it on her porch? Did she always leave her cigarettes and lighter out there?
That's a good
Did she
question.
smoke outside maybe? I mean, I don't know, but
Hannah, do you happen to have, we're getting a lot of feedback for some reason tonight. Do you have a headset?
no, I don't.
Okay. I'm not sure why we are, but sorry guys, we're getting some feedback.
It might be my fan. Let me turn my fan off. I'm at that age where, is it better now?
Yes.
It was
Well,
my fan.
No, we're still getting some type of feedback. I don't know what it is. Hang on a second. Let me mute. It might be coming from my mic, might be my issue tonight. It sounds like it might
You
be.
were kind of breaking up a little bit there, but I didn't want to interrupt you, but I didn't know if it was just me.
Oh no, always interrupt me. If there's a tech issue, which there appears to be, always interrupt me. Okay, so stand by a second, guys. I'm going to see what I can do. Thank you, Julie, in the chat. I appreciate you for letting me know, because I don't know if you don't tell me. So never listen to anything that's not right. If I don't sound right or if there's a video issue, speak up, interrupt, type in the chat box, do whatever you can, okay? Because I obviously don't know if I'm having a tech issue or not. So
Rocket Girl is real.
yes. So let me mute for a second. I'm going to see if I can find something to make this better. Hang on. Hannah, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about your visit with the governor's office?
Office. Well, they were interesting. I called and I made sure I got the girl's name. Her name was Caitlin, and she was extremely nice. The very first thing I asked her is, "Where's Sarah Ebersol?" And I think she was a little shook. And I was like, "Are you aware that Sarah Ebersol is missing, endangered in your state? She has a daughter, and I think the governor should care about his citizens and also care that Michelle, Sarah's sister, is down there fighting and working her ass off, trying to get answers and do the work that should be freely given to her as a citizen in the United States, period. You should get help from the government. And it should be an issue that they tackle. It should not solely be on Michelle. I am extremely frustrated, and I voiced my opinion to Miss Caitlin that the fact that Michelle is having to come up with $2,400 to put a missing billboard up, and then $600 a month she has to come out of pocket. And Michelle has a family. She has kids. She actually lives 50 miles from Reddick, Florida. She travels there daily at times. She is battling so much on her own. And I feel like the governor, the state of Florida, the citizens, everybody should be standing up. I'm in Springfield, Missouri, and I will do whatever I can from here. I wish I could get down there. But what I can do is I can call the governor. I've called him twice now, and I feel like maybe I should just start calling him every day. Because when I talk to Caitlin, I
agree. Oh, I'm still having problems. This is so weird. And I even
I don't know if it's on here on my phone. You're fine. I've got my TV where I'm watching it too. It's muted, so.
Oh, okay. That might be a problem for me. I think I'm getting feedback from. Can you turn that off?
No, it is off.
You said it's just
the TV. Hang on. Do you just want me to turn the TV off? Let me turn it off.
It could be causing interference. That happens sometimes when people are
Well, and I'm not on the greatest internet either. My TV just is
No,
not
it's
on.
not you. Your mic is great, but there's some type of interference going on with this show right now. Now, Julie told me StreamYard's been acting up all day, so
I have no idea. I know this though.
test. No, it's bad.
There's always going to be some technical difficulties when you're working for God and you're doing His work for His children, because you're obviously making, the evil one angry. But he's a lie. The devil is a lie. We rebuke him 1,000%. But yeah, I think that I have the time every day to call the governor, because why not? I mean, Marion County is not helping Michelle. So that's when you go above Marion County to the governor. And I've sent them everything that was on Michelle's page, everything about Sarah, everything about Cora / Dahlia, everything about Joseph Merlin Mayton, and his prior history. And I think something else we do need to bring up is the fact that in 2006, I believe the little girl was 8 years old, and her name was Coral Rose Fullwood, and she was unalived. And Joseph Merlin Mayton was a person of interest. And in 2008, 2 years after the little girl was unalived, he was a person of interest, and the detectives questioned him and wanted him to give a DNA swab, and he said no. And you know what they said? Okay. And let him leave. Like, I don't get this. The whole history with Joseph Merlin Mayton goes back to when he was 9 years old. And it's crazy to me. Like, when I was on the phone with the governor's office, I was like, you have someone in your state that is making your children at schools, and anyone could be a victim. It could be your little sister. It could be your niece. It could be your mom. You don't know. And the crazy thing about, which I believe, from the backstory of what I understood, what Michelle shared about Miss Little Coral Rose Fullwood, that just stuck out to me, because her resemblance is, fair skin, kind of a strawberry blonde, looked a lot like Sarah, looked a lot like Cora / Dahlia. And that just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me that he's a person of interest in two different situations, where one is unalived and the other one is his child's mother, and she's missing and endangered. And Sarah would have never left her daughter, and she would have never left Michelle. Michelle was just not just Sarah's sister. Michelle was basically Sarah's mom. That was her safetyness. And they were compiling, all this evidence and stuff to fight for custody to get Cora back with Sarah. And those documents are missing out of Sarah's apartment. That's a huge, huge red flag.
Can you hear me now? Is it still acting weird?
I can hear you now.
I decided to go on my iPad, but I'm starting to think it's something to do with StreamYard as me being the host, because I'm actually on my iPad now and I can still hear weird sounds going on.
I've turned off my TV. I turned off the fan. I don't know if anybody, if you're hearing it on my side, like when I talk, does it do something?
No, you're good. See, I'm the host, and so it's something to do with me being the host of StreamYard. Now, Julie says here that she was in JFK had issues his last 2 shows with StreamYard. He had to restart during the stream and send StreamYard a message. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I think StreamYard they're relatively new and they get kind of overwhelmed. So I am gonna I'm tempted to do that, but what I think I'm going to do is, and if it's okay with you and everyone else here, I'm going to start a whole new live show.
Okay.
Just see if that fixes everything. So I'm going to end this one and I'm going to make a new one and then send you the link, Hannah. and we'll give it a try. Now, if this continues, then we're going to close it out for tonight, and we'll just reconvene another night, and I'll send StreamYard a message. So we'll be back, everyone, on another stream. The new link.